So then the Rebbeinu Shalom tells him to come up again. And we'll do it over again. So the first luchos were already made from heaven. Moshe didn't have to carve them out. But now the second luchos are going to be different. So psol lecha, you have to fashion it yourself. And then it says, "V'chasavti al haluchos es advorim asher kosavti al haluchos harishonim asher shibarta." So implicit in this is the fact that Kaviochel, God is going to write it over again. And that the letters of the second luchos are going to be of the same quality, so to speak, as the letters were of the first luchos. V'amichtav michtav Elohim chorus ala luchos. That it was written by God himself, so to speak. The Torah tells us that they were written. Moshe descends, and these are the luchos that went into the Aron, that went into the Mishkan, that later went into the Beit HaMikdash, and these are the luchos that the Navi Yirmiyah took and buried somewhere so that they would not be taken into captivity in Bovel, in the Churban Bayis Rishon. Where that place is unknown to us until today, in spite of Wendell Jones and others. So, when we read in Parshas Ve'etchanun, the Aseres Advarim, they are not exactly the same as was recorded for us in Parshat Yisro. So the main discrepancy, so to speak, that is that the Talmud itself describes is that in the first luchos it said Zochar es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho, and the second luchos it said Shomer es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho. So the Gemara is Bechadesh here. The Gemara here teaches us a new thing, that aside from what was written on the luchos, so to speak, were read out to the people. The first part of the luchos, Kaviochel, God himself read out, however we're to understand that, and then the rest Moshe read out. So the Gemara says, the famous statement that all of us know, Zochar v'Shomer b'dibur echad, that the words Zochar and Shomer were recited simultaneously as one. What the Gemara says, Ma'aseh Ozen Yefsher Lishmoa, it was something that the ear could not hear. You can't hear two words, Trei Kol and Lo Mishtame. You can't hear two words simultaneously at the same time. We can't assess it. And no human being can recite two words simultaneously. So, Zochar v'Shomer b'dibur echad nemnu. They were said at once, simultaneously, and therefore Zochar was written in the first luchos and Shomer in the second luchos. Is that true? So there are differences of opinion in the Rishonim regarding this, because it says v'chosafti al haluchos es advorim that were written on the first luchos. So on the first luchos it was written Zochar, then on the second luchos was also written Zochar. I heard once from Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, the question is, what did it say on the luchos, on the second luchos? So he's of the opinion that it said shomor. And that's what we say on Shabbos. Shnei luchos avonim horid biyodo v'chosu bohem shmira Shabbos. V'chein kosu b'sora secha, quote, v'shomru b'nei Yisrael. So that it said shomor. But we have no tradition regarding this. It's an amazing thing that there's no tradition regarding the Aseret Advarim at all. And then in the explanation of Shabbos itself, the description here of we'atchanן is longer, much more expanded than in the description that are contained in Yisro regarding the luchos that Moshe brought down and shattered. So, what did Moshe say? So again, that's the difference. There are many that say that whatever it says in the luchos shnios, Moshe had said in the luchos rishonos, except it wasn't written down. But in Moshe's repetition of what he heard on Sinai, it already said everything that existed in the luchos shnuyos. So we have also, it says lo sachmod, and then it says lo sisave. So again, it's not verbatim the same text. And the Torah itself is aware of that, right? It isn't that, they made a mistake. And that throughout the centuries, all the Meforshim have commented on it as to what really occurred here. So basically, it's not really clear to us. But many say, and I pointed that out to you before, that the whole Chumash Dvorim is in reality a type of Torah Shabbal Peh for the other 4 books of the Chumash. And therefore, it has a different quality to it, even in Halacha. There's a sheet in the Gemara that you can't make Gzeirah Shava in Chumash Dvorim. You can't use many of the drushes that we darshan in the other books in Chumash Dvorim. It has a different quality. It has the quality already of being partially Torah Shabbal Peh. And therefore, to a certain extent, the record of the Luchos Shnios is the Torah Shabbal Peh for what it was on the Luchos Rishonos, what it was on the Aseret Advarim that are recorded for us in Parshas Yisro. So Lo Sisave is just an expansion of the idea of Lo Sachmod. Now, on Lo Sachmod itself, the Gemara has great difficulty. What does that mean? And we do not find in the Torah that a person is held liable, that it's a lav in the Torah regarding one's thoughts. We saw Salanter in the Igeres Amusa describes that the human mind is one constant race of thoughts, one after another. And to be able to discipline the mind is much harder than to discipline the body. You just can't turn it off. So, Lo Sachmod is almost involuntary. That a person desires something that someone else has. He sees someone else have a very fancy automobile, so he says, "Oh, I'd like also that." So he over on Lo Sachmod. So the Gemara says a startling chiddush in Gemara Bava Kama and in other places, that the person is not over on lo sachmod unless he does something about it. In other words, that if he steals, a person that steals is over not only on lo tignov, he's over on lo sachmod also. And the act of taking something that's not yours, that creates the lav of lo sachmod. But otherwise, lo sachmod is like just a good idea. What if he never steals? But he covets, he'd like to have what the other person has. Is that, so to speak, punishable? How does heaven deal with it? It's a very difficult idea. And maybe that's why now it says lo tisave. The difference between lo sachmod and lo tisave is that lo tisave implies that it's not good for you. Sometimes, let's say lo sachmod, a person is a wonderful Baal Tefillah. And I would also like to be a wonderful Baal Tefillah. I can't, I'm not, I don't have. So I desire to have his talent. So the lo sachmod there is, so to speak, a kosher lo sachmod, right? Or other things such as that. Somebody's a great lamdan, right? I would also like to be a great lamdan. If someone has an opportunity to do a mitzvah. So in the Gemara, there is such a thing, that you can steal a bracha. Somebody's going to make a bracha, and you chap it arois, and you make the bracha first. So that's you're a ganiv. So again, it's a kosher ganiv, but it's a ganiv. And it was famous in the Lithuanian world for something called geganvet Torah. Somebody had to say a shir. He wasn't prepared, so he said a shir that somebody else had said, and he passed it off as his own. So that was looked at as being a sort of kosher geneva. But my Rebbe used to say, though, the ganav has to be a maven. You have to know which shear to steal. Which one has the legs, so to speak, to stand on. So when the Torah comes down and says lo sisave, the Torah is attempting to give a definition to lo sachmod. It's not just that I want things. Tisave is already very particular. It's an attitude. And that therefore that would be the basis for the lo sachmod which exists in the Parsha of Yisro. But it's very interesting that regarding the Aseres Advorim, which is the basic constitution, let us say, Kaviyachal, of the Jewish people, there's very little clarity as to what it actually said and what it actually means. And only in the development of Torah Shabbat Peh that we get some sort of handle on it. On the first, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, it's a machlekes rishonim, whether that's one of the Aseres Advorim. Rabbeinu Sadia holds no. Aseres Advorim begins with Lo Yiyalecha. Even though the majority of commentators include it, and traditionally we include it. But all of that is part of the mystery which surrounds this seminal event, which is the basic event in the history of the Jewish people and of world civilization, of Maimed Har Sinai. What went on, what did it say, what does it say, and what does it mean? We'tchananya ben Akash Omer